overnight, all the homes in Whitefish, Montana were dressed in Halloween. However, everything was also covered in a thick white blanket of snow, the harsh winds blowing the snow into mini twisters that drifted across the sidewalk. Misty walked home from her friend Keith's house after a long night of studying, completely bundled in head to toe in winter warmth. Misty should have gotten home hours ago. By now it was already 9. Her parents were probably worrying about her, but they hadn't called her yet, so Misty just walked home peacefully, watching the snow falling in front of her face, trying to catch snowflakes with her tongue like every normal teenager does. As the little balls of condensation form on her coat from the falling ice. She had known this path that she was walking in the woods. She had known the path for a very long time, for she was the one that created it. The path was worn from a long walks she used to take to and from her house in Keith's. The snow fell peacefully, and Misty was intrigued by the beautiful falling snow when was someone following her? Misty whipped around and faced the noise when she didn't see anything. There wasn't anybody behind her. She could only see her footsteps. So, where were they coming from? They were almost alive. She felt them in her bones, and how could she be thinking them up? Was she growing crazy? Maybe it was just a squirrel. It could have been a squirrel. Terrified, Misty could see her house from where she was, so she kept walking, thinking nothing of the noises. However, halfway across her yard, she heard the sound again, but every time she heard it, it got louder, and it got closer. So she launched herself towards her door to get into her home safely. When she got into the house, she locked the door behind her. She took off her coat and her bright pink snow plants, and she noticed the eerie silence that just sat in the house like an unwanted guest. And she grabbed the phone and tried to call her mom because she wasn't there. But the phone wouldn't ring. It wouldn't even start. It wouldn't even dial. Misty was insanely going insane. She didn't understand what was happening, and everything in the house just felt off. It felt strange. As Misty made her way to her bedroom, she felt as if somebody was following her. It was kind of crazy, but it was terrifying. With every step down the stairs made this strange creaking noise. However, Misty thought nothing of it due to the fact that it had done that for years. However, when Misty was changing in her bedroom, she heard the noise. Of someone walking down the stairs. She got so scared she ran and hid in her closet. And the footsteps got closer to her room, and they walked around her room. And she's watched the shadows dancing under the door of her closet through the little crack. After some minutes, she had the guts to open the door and inch her way to the stairs. And when she started creaking up the stairs, she heard the closet door of her in her bedroom slam shut. She assumed it was the closet door. As she ran up the stairs, she could feel the terror just bubbling up from her stomach. And she didn't understand what to make of it. So she ran upstairs, she grabbed the baseball bat in the kitchen that was leaning against the door frame that was there because of the raccoons, to scare off the raccoons in the middle of the night. And then the lights in the house flickered off and then flickered back on. And the phone started ringing. And as she was walking over to the phone, Misty saw a little black fuzz, a little black item running from the stairs into the living room, and she just thought it was a figment of her imagination, I guess. So she just walked up to the phone, and it had stopped ringing, so she picked it up to see who called her. It was an unknown number. Misty had been so upset she didn't even know how dark the room had gotten without the power. And a huge snowstorm was brewing outside. Misty had no choice but to stay inside, so she couldn't go to Keith's house. She couldn't go to the cops. She couldn't do anything because the power was out in her house, and if she left, she'd potentially freeze to death. So she sat on the couch and curled up into a small ball, wrapping herself up in the heavy quilt that sat comfortably on the couch. She was half asleep, and all of a sudden, something jumped up on her, and she screamed, and when she finally looked down to see what had jumped up on her, she was greeted with the face of an innocent-looking kitten. Learning it was a kitten terrorizing her, well, it was a good sign, however. Where did the kitten come from? How did it get in the house? And where were her parents? And why was all of this terrifying stuff happening? The lights flickered on and the phone started ringing again. So she darted to the phone in the kitchen and she looked down to see who was calling, and it was her mom. She answered and asked her mom where she was, and her mom just responded with, "Did you get the gift?" Confused, Misty said, "What do you mean, what gift?" And her mother said, "The kitten." So Misty responded with, "The kitten? You got me a kitten? Why did you get me a kitten?" And her mother responded, "Well, it's your birthday, hun. What else would we gotten you? You've been asking for a kitten for years."